Good morning, everyone, or afternoon or night or whatever. So I'll just start by giving sort of a background or concept structure of what we're talking about here. And just at the beginning, it's a little unusual what we're talking about. It's like it's unexpected what we're discussing. So it doesn't actually fit in any sort of paradigms that you might have already as far as what life is and what spirituality is and what your life is about. It doesn't actually fit into that context, what we're talking about here. It's really quite something else, what we're suggesting. It's very, very simple, but maybe in some ways it's deceptively simple that it sounds like it's something that you could apply, or it has something to do with you knowing what we're talking about or learning something new, which is generally how these things are presented, that it has something to do with you, that there's something wrong with the situation or something missing and something that could be found, and it's up to you to do it. What we're talking about here doesn't have anything to do with that conceptual construct. It's not about you, and it's not about becoming. So we're not trying to change, or that message or what we're sharing here points out that actually trying to change what is comes out of an illusory experience that what is has something missing in it. See, what we're suggesting is that this, simply this, is already all of it. That's really the end of the story. This is all of it. This is everything. And it has no intrinsic value to it. It doesn't need it. It is the fulfillment of itself as it is. So it has no value in becoming anything. It is the 100% value that it is as it is, without any need to become anything else. And that doesn't change. That is this. That being the case, this meeting happens because there's an experience that arises in this that says that says it wants to know that what's just been suggested is true. It feels like it has to find something. It has to know either what's been suggested or what other people say, or something that it doesn't know yet. Has to be found, has to be added to itself to make this complete. You can call that experience a me, an I am, hope, need. And what that experience does is it makes this appear to be something it's not. That experience is that something's missing. That experience is that what happening has value, meaning, and purpose to me. That what is needs to be perfected. That there's a right and a wrong way for this to appear. And it's up to me to find the right way, be the right way, act the right way, so that I can find or be good enough for this to be what's longed for, what's hoped for. And for that energy, for that need, the situation is completely hopeless. There is no real hopelessness. But for that situation of finding something that's missing, of making this perfect to fit my concepts of the way it's supposed to be, is hopeless. Even if I get what I'm looking for, I immediately am either trying to hold on to it, to maintain it, or fear of losing it. There's just no end to that seeking need of becoming, as long as that energy of there's something missing is there. There'll be a seeker. That seeker will meditate, will try to find money, will try to have enough friends, will try to just be a good person, basically. It's like a straitjacket. It's like a straitjacket of trying, of effort. And everything flows into that straitjacket, every thought, every interaction, every feeling. Is that good enough? Is that good enough? Is that right? Is that where it's hidden? Is that what I'm looking for? Is it there? Is it there? Is it there? That energy actually hides this as already fulfilled. And it hides it by wanting to know it. And it wants to know it because it feels like something's missing. So it feels like something has to be added. And that'll be added through my effort of knowing. So really, the message is very, very simple. Or what we're talking about is very, very simple. This is it, in the sense that there isn't anything else. And it's unknowable. And there isn't any need to know it. That need is illusory. Whatever feelings, thoughts, happenings, whatever is happening, that is wholeness or completeness or fulfillment or any word you want to give it, that points to not needing. And that includes the experience that something's needed to happen. That includes that experience I am a self, I am a me, I am real, something needs to happen. That's also the wholeness or everything or what is appearing as that. So there's no suggestion that anything needs to happen or anything needs to change. It doesn't. It never does. The energy of that seeker is saying something needs to happen. There needs to be a new experience for this to become what I'm looking for or what's longed for. That never happens. It didn't happen here, and it'll never happen there. It's an illusion. Nothing needs to happen for this to be home. And nothing ever happens that makes this not home. Well, that's an okay framework for the discussion, which we could have, if you like, about what I just said, the presentation, or anything else you'd like to discuss, actually. Pretty much within reason, I guess. Yeah, okay. Let's do it. Hey, Robert.
Time no see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, for 15 years, well, all kinds of, every kind of question wasn't there anymore. After a period of very intense seeking and seeking and seeking, and then there all of a sudden there was just poof, and no questions. And then gradually I realized that there still was an abundance of I, but it was an empty I, let's put it this way. Empty me, but it was still the contracted energy stuff. And so now I'm in the same position as I was 15 years ago, because I'm here. And the only reason is why I'm here is this, that I attach great value to it. So I could tell myself, don't attach that value to it, but that's all bullshit. So yeah, I guess I'm just waiting for it to stop happening.
Totally.
Yeah. And
that's what everybody here, well, not everybody, but that's what all me's are doing.
Yeah.
Is waiting for it, the right thing to happen or for it to stop happening.
Yeah, well,
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
Can I tell you a secret? No, everybody else close your ears.
Okay.
But it's not happening.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard a lot. Yeah.
That's the problem, isn't it? But so I could do wise things, and I could say, well, it's at least better to wait for it to stop happening than to wait for it to happen. Huh? But it's all the same crap, and at the same time, just the fact that it's kind of translucent, let's put it this way, it's going in and out, and it's a bit wobbling and those kind of things, and it really makes the longing stronger.
Yeah, it does.
So, which I also suspect is one of the ways of this me energy to protect itself, but it doesn't exist. So how can it protect itself? It's all clouded in paradox. But at the same time, I'm getting kind of frustrated. Yeah, frustrated in total hopelessness.
Yeah.
So
this is actually quite a terrible message, because it really does confront the experience of something needing to happen with the suggestion, first off, that it'll never happen, that it can't happen, and nothing could ever happen to bring about what's longed for.
Yeah, that's
very, very frustrating.
Yeah, that's a very frustrating message. But at the same time, we talked about this last time also. It might be an illusion, but still it's happening.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. But still, it feels like so there also is no experience happening.
No.
So why is it happening then?
It's not.
Oh, that's what you said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
The thing is that this discussion, the computer screen, what's happening, is everything.
Yeah, sure.
There's only this.
Yeah.
That experience that you're talking about puts this into a context of real time, where there's a possibility of something happening. That's an illusion. There isn't real time. There's apparent time, but there's not real time. It just appears to be. And it's only when it turns into real time, then there's that experience that something needs to happen. There's something outside of what's arising. That's the mystery. And it isn't outside, but it seems to be outside. It seems to be lost to the experience that said something needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is that mystery. This is that mystery. These words, that answer, the head moving, that is the mystery. That's the mystery. It's everything.
Yeah, and that's conceptually understood, which doesn't mean anything. It's even felt,
nothing does.
Realized. That also means nothing. But at the same time, I mean, everything is everything, but everything
I love that. Everything is everything, but.
Yeah, everything is everything, including the but, and including the different contents. I mean, there's this content here, and experiencing and stuff like that, which is not there. It's different content of the everything, which makes...
No, there isn't a different content because there aren't two places.
Content.
Yeah, there isn't different content because there aren't two places. See, what you do is you say that what you long for is here and not there. That's why you ask this questions.
Yeah.
It's not here. It's only there. It's never anywhere else.
Never
There's just also there the experience that it's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's not different content.
Well, let's.
There's content there that says there's different, which is the experience that there's different contents.
Yeah.
That what I'm longing for is lost somewhere that it could be found.
Mm-hmm.
That's the dream, that there's different contents. There's only all there is. And that's all there is. This is that.
So there are no different all there is.
No. It's not like infinities that you can have more than one. It's absolute. It's absolute.
Yeah, but maybe I have a little bit less infinity.
Nobody has infinity. There is only infinity.
Fuck it. Darn. Well, I'm very happy to tell you that this didn't help.
Oh, that costs a lot. You got to, I'll send you a bill.
Well, I'm going to pay for 5 sessions now. I thought I do it
very good.
5.
That if you buy 5 at once, it only costs 10.
10 sessions.
Yeah, you only get 5, but it costs 10 if you want a bulk order. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, because that will make it worth more.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. But you're clever. That's exactly the way it is.
I'm very clever. Shucks. Hey, thanks a lot, Jim.
Thanks, Robert.
For nothing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm on.
Great. Okay. So just we spoke. I'm in Portugal. We spoke on the telephone a week or 2 ago.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Hi. So thank you for today. That was a great introduction, Jim. A really clear. Great. It was great. Thank you. So following on from our phone call, I was talking about a hypothetical, well, not hypothetical, the calls you have with Tony Parsons, and you were saying that you just talk naturally. I just wonder, after our call, I had the thought in that conversation, I'm sorry if I'm prying here, I hope I'm not, but in that conversation, in a natural, you and Tony just kind of shooting the breeze, would you exchange personal opinions?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
For example, just so that we're clear,
yeah,
the USA is the greatest country ever. And I assume that Tony would say that was Great Britain.
Okay.
Yeah. So there would be a difference of opinion going on there.
What? So I guess you'll know where I'm probably my next question is who is who's having the opinion?
Well, nobody. Well, that's what we're going to. You're coming from a position that there's a real person that needs to fall away, and that there's a real person, and you're trying to find out, why do people where there isn't a real person still talk as I do? Why do they still have opinions? But there isn't anyone there, John. Nobody's asking this question.
Sure. Okay. Well, I've probably been a bit more of the sort of, I guess I listened to the Ramana Maharshis and Nisargadatta types, and they would say in self-inquiry there, who's the one having the opinion? They would say so.
Yeah, but what you find there is you don't know who it is, but that's someone looking, who then finds they can't find themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really not what we're talking about here. It's a bit different.
Okay.
Nobody knows, there's no one.
Okay. But someone's having an opinion.
No, well, nobody does anything.
No, okay.
But that's the thing, why that was part of the introduction, that nothing actually needs to change.
Okay.
Because the experience is, there's something that needs to happen. And it sounds like you're trying to figure out what that something is by working out why there's an opinion there and what Nisargadatta is saying. Yeah. All of that is coming from the need of something to change. And that in itself is where this as home hides.
It's okay. Just to clarify, I think that the me that
You didn't hear me.
looking for an answer here, the me that's sort of asking the question, I'm thinking that's the same me who, in a conversation, would have an opinion.
Yes. Yes, you are. That's right.
Okay.
And that there's something right or wrong with what's happening. That
Okay.
you're gonna hone in on what's missing through logic by figuring it out,
sure.
which is all you've got. As long as there's separation, all you've got is knowing or more experience. That's your only hope, is that through knowing more or experiencing the right thing, waiting for the right experience, you will find what you think is lost.
Okay. So if you said to me, you know, USA is we're in a conversation, you say, oh, USA is the greatest country, and I would, you know, have views on that. It's that, that's just what's happening.
Absolutely. But that's all there is.
Okay, great. So, Jim, so quickly, that I had a sort of a part B to my question, and that sort of leads into it. I've listened to, I enjoy listening to Alan Watts, and he talks a lot about Zen.
Yeah.
I don't have any Zen experience.
Yeah.
But what they talk about in his anecdotes is this notion of spontaneity. Yeah. And so I guess my question is what we're discussing here, that the non-dual, is that identical or similar to Zen in some way, particularly on this kind of spontaneous element of it?
Well, this is spontaneous.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all there is spontaneity. Zen is a bit of a religion, I think. I think there were people who began Zen, who started Zen. I can't remember their names exactly.
Yeah.
Who spoke more like we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But Zen then becomes a practice. And what we're talking about here is that a practice simply is the result of the experience that something needs to happen.
Yeah.
And it is that itself which is unsolvable.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
because there isn't anything that ever does happen and nothing really needs to happen.
Great. Okay, no, I get that's great. Okay, thanks very much, Jim. Thank
you. John.
Hello, Jim.
Hello.
Yeah, I am not a native English speaker.
That's all right.
So my English is not so very good, but I try to follow your conversations, and I like them. I've written down two questions. What is the contradicted energy, the first starting of the being a people or being a person? Is that started at the hearting of the beat, or the beating of the heart, your own heart, when you are concepted, or what is it?
No, it starts with the contracted energy, like you said.
But at what point of your age does that occur?
Well, it actually happens timelessly, but if we want to tell each other stories, we can tell all sorts of stories about it being in the brain, about the brain getting bigger as the human became more developed and being able to then assume a center. We can tell each other all sorts of stories, but really right now what's happening is there's a contracted energy in the body which assumes a reality to itself as an I am, which is the experience of separation and the need, or the experienced need, for something to happen.
You mean right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
The now that isn't.
So also, yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's some people that have said I sound like that. What we talk about sounds like Buddhism sometimes.
Yeah. Yes.
And basically, a lot of the religions have it seems to be at its inception some sort of non-dual tidbits in it, like the Gospel of Thomas is something I really enjoyed reading. It's a Christian Gnostic gospel, one of those lost gospels of that has quotes from Jesus, and it sounds sometimes very non-dual.
Yeah.
The difficulty with non-duality,
there's a resonance in this story.
There's a resonance. I mean, yeah, you can see reflections of it in a lot of different places. Definitely.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, William.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Excellent.
I haven't seen you in a long time.
Or heard from me on the phone either.
Haven't heard from you in a long time. Yeah.
I'm like that. I'm very quiet.
Yeah, you are. You are. Yeah. Never anything to say.
I wanted to ask about anxiety. I might have mentioned this to you previously, but throughout the day, it might not be every day, but I think most days, I'll just suddenly have an anxiety attack out of nowhere. It could be in my house or for no reason. I think that might be completely connected to the sense of separate self, although it's impossible to say. Is that all connected to the need for control?
An anxiety, yeah, probably, yeah.
So it's likely that when the self, because control's all connected to the me.
Yeah.
And so it's likely that if the self appeared to fall away, then the anxiety would not occur just sporadically.
Yeah, maybe.
I still think there's something wrong with it. Like you said in the introduction, there's nothing that needs to change because it's so painful, the physical tightness of it, that I can't function. Like when it's happening, I can't do whatever, even like the smallest little task, like washing the dishes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm just angry that I can't, not that there's me to do anything, but there's nothing that could be done to get rid of that contraction.
No, there's no need to get rid of it. It's actually the extrapolated experience that something that I am real or what's happening is real that feels like something needs to happen. And there's nothing to be done about that because it's really an illusion. There's nothing wrong with contracted energy. It's just contracted energy. There's nothing wrong with a me. It just has the experience that something needs to happen. That doesn't have that has no effect on the appearance or on the reality of what this is at all. It is still wholeness. It is still home, having the experience that something needs to happen for it to become home.
And so, because for that body there, like your body, there could still be a contraction happening.
Well, that particular contraction of knowing, I don't know why that would arise again. I can't imagine. The me itself, it doesn't actually stop happening because what's revealed is it never did happen. So something that already never happened couldn't start happening again.
So what would the difference be between a contraction in that body versus the kind of contraction that someone might feel when there's an intense anxiety?
Well, I imagine one of them, I don't know what you mean by that.
I mean, so like, for example, like, because you're saying contraction arising doesn't affect that this is already wholeness.
Right, but because you want to know this is wholeness. And so what happens is wholeness always remains just out of reach, just around the corner, hidden in all those places where you think you're going to find it, like in religion or being a good person or in sex or in money or any of that's where you think, that's where the individual, that's what happens for the individual is the mystery that this is, gets sort of hidden. And so it goes looking for that mystery. It really seeking longs to end seeking, not to need to know. But it wants to know enough for that to be the case. This is already that.
So in that
so it
respect,
looks for the mystery that seems to be hidden. It isn't hidden. This conversation, all there is mysticism, the mystery.
And in respect to what you're saying about the individual goes looking for what it's looking for in religion or money or whatever it's doing. So the individual thinks that what it's trying to find or wholeness is in a specific thing, but what's revealed then, I suppose, when the contraction isn't anymore, is that what was really being looked for was in everything.
Well, it is everything. It's not in everything. There isn't an in everything. Even panic is wholeness.
And so you're saying that nobody knows that.
No.
So you don't know that, but there's no longer there the denial that whatever appears is.
But there never was.
But there seems to be an experience here that's a denial that this is already wholeness or home or.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about denial. I guess you could say that. Yeah.
I mean, it is an energetic experience. It feels like
it's the experience of solidity. It's the experience of knowing that makes it seem like it's missing. It's the experience of I amness. I am in control. I'm separate. That makes it seem like it's missing. It's not. That I am in control is also wholeness.
And that occurs or like is felt as a solidity of heaviness in the body. Is it so that when the contraction no longer appears there, the body just feels empty or light?
But not as an experience. It's not something that carries on. See, you're looking for something that you can, again, add to yourself. There isn't anything truly missing. There isn't anything that needs to be added. There isn't anything wrong. There isn't anything right.
Right, that makes a lot of sense because when you say there's nothing wrong, I'm trying to see that the contraction or the anxiety is right. But what you're saying is like there's no position on anything then. There's no right or wrong to anything. And the individual has to go to one or the other, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
It can't just be with what is.
That's all you can understand. That's all you can know is one or the other. You can't know the paradox, the mystery. So for that seeking energy, what we're talking about is really useless. It's nothing.
Because it can't do anything to see what's being suggested.
No, it can't do anything. It has nothing for it. There's nothing for it.
So why do I keep listening to this message if I can't?
You never have listened, obviously. No, I'm just kidding. But no, you've never done. You've never done anything. There isn't anyone there.
Oh God, this is horrible. But at the same time, I do sense the relief in it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Thanks, William.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
It is my first time talking about this.
Yeah.
May I just share my experience?
Yeah.
And it happens sometimes, but the memory from yesterday. So when I was walking down the street and I turned into this Chinatown, and there were so many people there. There was so much. And so at first I thought it was just self-consciousness. But when I asked the voice, like the question couldn't end before I realized that's so empty, that's not it at all. And then like people, some were talking, there was this guy on his knee, there was these two people who were talking. It was so constant, so much of it. And it was all together, like at no distance at all. Like both of those are me, that was it. And it was so much. Like when I'm on the couch and there is and it is just this, a sense of falling. And it is so easy to accept, and you fall with it. But when there are so many, when you open your eyes, it is just so much, and it is so intimate. And I just slowly exit it. I know I'm gonna be back. I know I will. Like a mouse trapped in a glass jar. Is this normal? And should I do something about it?
Well, it sounds like there's been sort of a glimpse of something that you didn't understand.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll have to say it doesn't have anything to do with you accepting it.
Well,
That's just an added on experience to what seemed to be happening. There's no need to accept it or not to accept it.
what about the realization of too much, or like?
Yeah,
Can
that
you look
seems
at the
to me.
sun? Yeah.
That seems to me like there's someone there that is sort of having glimpses of something bigger than itself or more than itself. That's too much for it.
Yes.
Yeah, but there's still someone there that's doing that.
How?
There's still someone there having that experience. There's still
Yes.
some contraction
Yes.
energy that's happening too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't want to change that. It's just what you said before, that there is still something there that I'm not conscious of often, sometimes.
It's not something that you're not conscious of. There's something there that is conscious of. So we're not trying to become more conscious. You're still conscious of what's happening. There's still a separate entity that's having an experience.
Could you please elaborate?
Sounds like you're trying to control it, like it's too much for you to contain.
Yes.
And so there's a need to control it.
Yes.
Yeah. That's an illusion. There's no need to control it. And there's nothing that you can do about it.
Yes. But that's what I thought me saying I accept it should mean.
Right. No, because you can't accept it. You can't accept you accepting it being out of control is feeling like you're in control.
Yeah. That makes total sense.
Just wanted to say thank you for doing this most difficult thing in the world, which is talking about nothing. And,
it's easy because I don't do it.
Yes, and I just keep coming back for hearing nothing, and it makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe it's because for my background, which I'm from East, from Middle East, but it makes a lot of sense what you say about this being nothing and the rest of it being an illusion. And this is the stories and narratives that you make. Thank you very much for these interesting ideas.
Thanks, Babak. Is there anything else?
No, just
no. Good.
Yeah, thank you. Just please keep go on. That's beautiful, and thank you for hearing.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks.
Hey, Jim.
Hi, Kim. Hey, Ian.
Hey, Jim. It's so fantastic to listen to all these questions and running around in circles and all this we can laugh about. I have just, it's in a way about your introduction about this not knowing. There's this lust to, in a way, to go out in the garden because it's so nice weather. But no, I have to add Jim's message to that it's okay out in the garden, and it's so in a way wild. Yeah. And then I just wonder about this word "but," blah 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 blah. But, and this I have noticed this this "but" contains this uncomfortable sensing of knowing, not knowing, not knowing.
Yeah.
Because in a way, I can. Yesterday, I was talking about. This message, and I try to give my words, put some words into this message, and then I'm sitting with this in a very uncomfortable thing because I put it into that I know something, and there is and there's just this I don't know what I'm talking about.
No.
And it's so wonderful.
Me either.
Yeah, and it's this, which is so wonderful that you're responding. It's so irritating, wonderful. So it's so easy to laugh about about this message, and at the same time, and it gives no meaning at all. Yeah.
No.
So it's mostly this. Your introduction really points to this this not knowing how I don't know, no wisdom in it. It is so, this is again this simplicity. Yeah, I think it's this what is. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah. Thanks to you.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
In continuation to Kim's words, at the end of the introduction, you said that nothing has happened to make this not home, but something happened. A contraction arose in that body or that body, and then there was no longer a feeling that there was no home.
Yeah, home was lost.
Home was lost. Not that it was really lost, but the feeling that there is no home. And then the looking to get rid of that contraction. And that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Jim.
Hey.
How you doing?
Awesome, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. I don't know how you phrase it, but I've heard either you or Tony or Andreas talk about the natural reality of, and I was reflecting about I'm walking a lot at the moment during lockdown, and it seems that sometimes there's just the walking, and then sometimes there's the walking plus a story about the walking, and then I don't know. Over the last few weeks, I two identical things apparently happened, and in one of the first time it happened, there was just what happened. And then the second time, what happened. There was what happened, and then there was a launching into this massive story around what had happened. Projecting into the future, thinking about the past. So it was as if, in both instances, there was just the natural reality of what happened.
Yeah,
and then sometimes it seems to be happening to me.
Yeah.
And it's like when it apparently happens to me, there's a story around what's happening. And I can only report on that story when I'm here, apparently, reporting on it, because when there's no one there, there's nothing to report on. There's no one to report on it. Does that make any sense? I mean, I'm not sure if there's a yeah. So, because I've heard right from
the one bit that doesn't make sense, or is the misunderstanding, is this is that.
Yeah. So
there isn't any report.
Yeah, the story is that The story is that the story around it isn't part of the wholeness either.
Yes, it is.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. That the story is that it isn't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's the bit that apparently I don't.
Well, the story is also that it happened in the past. That there's something, a memory of there being no one that you remember that isn't this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. On a different note, what's happening about the or not happening about the Totnes gathering in looking at my diary up in August.
Yeah, well, we're trying to get there. We're thinking we might be able to make it into Totnes. It said not to wherever I can't remember where we have the meetings, but anyway, not to the house.
Sharpen.
To the Sharpen. An angel just told me Sharpen. So there's the Natural Health Center. We're looking at coming over there. I don't know with all these variants and everything if I'll be able to get there, but I'm looking. We're planning it. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Smuggle you across some cows.
Yeah, smuggle me across the channel.
Yeah, you could go direct to Totnes, rather than take the long way around. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, come in on a boat.
Why not? Yeah. All right, thanks, Jim.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Hi, Jim. Can you hear me?
Hey, Yuko. Yep, I can hear you.
Cool. So I had a bit of a clarification question based on the question I asked you a month back.
Yeah.
About the relationship, or basically non-relationship, between the sense of the individual and thinking.
Yeah.
And you said that there is basically no relationship there. But
the individual doesn't think. Yes. But as long as it's there, it takes ownership of everything that seems to arise and applies it to its story.
So when there are these thoughts, for example, I am doing this, I am, that I in those thoughts is referring to the individual, right?
It doesn't, who knows? It doesn't, there isn't an individual, so there isn't an individual to refer to. They're just thoughts.
Okay. So this is actually kind of something, I thought I had actually figured that question out, and then I was just wanting clarification. Because
did I give you the wrong answer?
I don't know, maybe. But sometimes, at least, it feels like this is obvious.
Yeah, totally. And then you want to know what it is.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Or it's like I think of a question. For example, sometimes when I'm meditating, instead of being able to actually pay attention to the breath or whatever, these thoughts and questions pop up, and then I'm like, oh, next time I'll talk to Jim, I'll ask him this or something like that. But then it's like the question kind of starts to evolve in the thoughts, and then eventually it feels like it is, well, the answer is obvious. So then it just comes, and then it feels like, oh yeah, well, that's a pointless thing to ask because I already know it, but then you forget. And so it's kind of this constant loop. So it's kind of funky.
Yeah. Yeah, it's impossible because what we're talking about, you can't ever get. That's the whole point. That's the reason you can say it's death. because death is the revelation that nothing can be held on to.
Yeah.
So this can't be held on to.
So is it actually, how much do you think that the sense of the individual is created through fear?
Well, no. Fear comes out of the individual, is a reflection of the individual's fear, basically fear of death, need of control, which is also change, is also death for the individual. So it tried to make...
Okay, so the sense of individual creates basically these fears.
Well, it doesn't create it as an act, but it arises with the individual. That sort of fear, the fear of loss of control, the fear of death, those sorts of fears.
Yeah, because it was in some book I was, or audio book I was listening to, I think, like about psychedelics and how the two principal fears for people trying psychedelics are fear of death and fear of going insane.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels that this is also, both those fears are like what is, let's say, keeping me from letting go of the sense of self, or
you can't let go of the sense of self because there isn't a self.
Yeah, I know, but it's still like,
I don't know that.
Okay, sure, I don't know that.
No.
But the fear, those fears, they feel like those are keeping the individual going.
They aren't. It's the other way around. The fear comes out of the individual, or comes with the individual. But the individual couldn't live without fear, because it is the experience of separation and the experience that something needs to happen. So the separation is the experience that time is real. That's the only reason that death has any value to the individual, because it has the experience that it's going to lose real time, that there's something really happening to it, and then that will stop happening when it dies. The point that's being suggested here is there isn't anything happening to it, to this. So there isn't anything that could stop happening. There's only what's happening, and that can appear as anything, which is the same there. No matter what it calls it, even if it calls it fear, no matter what its sense is like, that's simply what's happening. And it's not, and it's not happening to anyone.
But when you said it's the same thing happening here as it's happening there.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing happening, but there are like different perspectives on.
No, there aren't. Only in the dream are there different perspectives. There aren't two individuals. There's only what's happening.
Yeah, there aren't two individuals or more individuals, but so there is this.
And that's the full stop. That's the end of the story. There's this.
But then there is the apparent happening.
That's this. There is only what is.
But in that apparent happening, there are these dreams of different perspectives.
That's right. Which is also what is.
Yeah.
Having the experience that there's what is and something else, which is also what is. There is never something else.
No, I'm just not suggesting that. I'm just like.
No, but when you say that there's another perspective, that's the experience or the expectation that there's another what is.
No, there's something like I'm not understanding here now, because like I'm thinking over like an analogy of like, let's say there's a ball you can look at the ball from two different sides. But
no, you can't.
In the example, hypothetical, there is a ball.
Yeah, but you're making two balls, giving it two different sides. But there's only what is.
Okay. So, like as the individual, you can only look at something as is.
No, as the individual, you have two sides.
But the individual then, like, can imagine the other side.
Yes.
So the individual experiences the ball from as it is.
Yes.
Then can imagine the ball from another perspective.
That's right. And it's the other perspective where it thinks the mystery is hidden. But there isn't another perspective, and there isn't anything hidden. There's no need for the other side.
Yeah. This is so difficult. Like what you're saying really rings true, but I can't understand it.
Oh.
Okay, so
all right.
I think
thanks, Yuko.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can. Ali.
Hi.
Honolulu.
Yes. Oh, Maui. Yeah.
Oh, Maui. Sorry.
That's right. I somehow I rather be here than in bed because I don't get to talk to anybody about this stuff. Couple of things. Just listened to the Sam Harris conversation again, and this time it was hilarious. Everything you were talking about was so obvious.
Is it better?
Yeah. Well, it's consistent. I hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. We'll ask the question. This is what it seems here. So I'm wondering how it seems there, but sometimes reactions come up. And those reactions, it seems like they were because of conditioning that has happened to this body over however long it lived.
Yeah.
And you talk about the neuroticism that happens when this illusion going on.
Yeah.
And I wonder, or this wonders, that whether this chronic neuroticism that happens can condition the brain in some way so that certain reaction coming up, because it's obvious when a decision or an action happens, nobody's making it, it's just coming up. But now it is noticed that certain reactions seem like through conditioning of this chronic neuroticism that happened over the years. And it's like, that's funny. Like there's no need for that, but it just comes up. That's okay.
Yeah.
Is that happening there too? Or
Yeah.
Or used to happen. Maybe it'll like, clear up, or I don't know. But
it does. Right now, it seems to soften up.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be, this is a bit psychological, but there seems to be layers to the conditioning, to the neuroticism. And the person, by trying to control or interact with it, actually maintains that whole thing. And when there's nobody left trying to make this become, that does seem to fall apart in some ways or soften up in some ways.
Yeah, because reactions come up, but it's like, that seems like something that I used to do. But, and then it's like dissipates. And it's, the other interesting thing is, even though there's no point to these conversations and being here, somehow it is interesting that just hearing this stuff is fun and interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But but that's you would think that that's all the question I had, and I wanted to thank you for doing these.
Yeah,
for
thanks,
no reason.
Ali. Yeah, thanks for joining. For no reason.
Hi, problems with unmuting myself too. No, I can see
no, you're there. I hear you.
I'm good. Hi. So I was listening to some of the conversations you've had, and so in a lot of the meditation I've done, they talk about a mindful witness, and through that you can get a feeling that the self isn't solid, and that things pass and they come and go.
Yeah.
And then presumably at some stage you think, oh, well, all these things are passing, they're coming and going. That means the self isn't solid, but there's some kind of sense of those things. But you don't like that mindful witness, do you? Or you don't think that is a good description?
Well, it's just something else. It's not that I don't like it. It's just, that's not what we're talking about. The mindfulness is an awareness, is a sense of knowing. And what we're talking about here is that sense of knowing is illusory. It's actually the experience of separation itself.
Well, I mean, but so conceptually you could think that there isn't a mindful witness, but that still, as an emotion or as you experience life, there has to be some space it comes up in, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, but there isn't any space. I'm literally, and I know it's unbelievable, but I'm literally saying the experience that there's something that knows what's happening is an illusion. That which looks out of your eyes, or that in which everything seems to happen, is an illusion. That is separation at itself.
So the thing, I guess that you don't actually teach meditation. Do you see what I mean? Or you don't refer to it. So no.
But meditation has something to do with intention.
Yeah.
And intention only arises when there's an intention or a need to overcome separation. And the message is there is no separation to overcome. It's an illusion. So what would the point of meditation be if it's meant to overcome a separation that doesn't exist?
Well, I mean, I think that it's a bit like, I think there's a point when you're practicing something that you're not trying anymore. So you could be trying in the run up to it, but there's a point at which the trying doesn't happen. And then presumably that's when the magic is supposed to come. Like, I'm guessing that's what the reason why they say it. But what so this is probably not very clear, but what I mean is that, so if I'm experiencing this now, I know that I'm facing from a certain position and I'm experiencing it in this direction, whereas something else I experience in another direction. So and thoughts seem to me to be like that as well. So if I wasn't a self, my only way of sort of perceiving that or understanding that at the moment would be that there'd just be stuff happening all over the place.
That's exactly the way this is.
But you're not.
This is utter chaos. But it already is utter chaos. It doesn't become utter chaos. It is utter chaos. And what that means is it's already ultimately or inconceivably free to be anything. And this is what is ultimate freedom, being anything. There's no need for this to appear this way. Now, if there's an individual here, it will know it's having a conversation. It will be aware of it as being separate from itself, the one it's conversating to. It'll be negotiating its way through the conversation to find something it feels it needs to find, it feels is lost. That experience makes this appear to be solid and real and fixed. And then the individual feels a sense of something missing, which is the aliveness that it is. And then it goes to meditation to try to find the aliveness that is already everything, which seems to be lost because it knows.
So I understand. If I just ask one thing, so is in the experience, so you can have an experience of meditation where you can see things appearing, and they appear against what what you've been describing is a wrong, is not really is not what you're talking about anyway, which is this this noticing against the background, and the background is mindfulness, and you say, well, the background isn't me, and the things appearing isn't me, and therefore I have some kind of insight into non-self.
Totally. Well, and you can go, if you follow that all the way, you become God. That's the realization of God, because everything happens within my consciousness. Everything is my consciousness. My awareness is the power that allows everything to be. And I am then the realization of I am omniscient and omnipotent, which is surprisingly impotent.
Yeah, because he doesn't really make anything happen. But that's not what you're saying, but that's what people have said about mind. That's what some teach. Is that what you're saying? Absolutely. That's true at all. We're not gods at all.
No, there is no God. There isn't anything separate.
Yeah.
And there isn't anything in awareness. Awareness is actually the experience of separation. Now, mindfulness is very helpful if you want to deal with certain issues. It's very helpful to deal with emotions and feelings and other things, but it has no relationship to what we're talking about here.
I think the thing which I'm struggling with is to know what the experience that you're describing would actually be like. This is
it.
But at some point you must have realized that the things that
I didn't. You see, what happens is there's this arising, which is wholeness and completeness and all the things we're talking about. And then within that arises the experience of I know. Now that I know makes this appear to be a separate, real happening. It's being cast out of the Garden of Eden after eating from the tree of knowledge or the tree of knowing. Suddenly I need to clothe myself, protect myself, control my circumstances, become something else, because something is now lost because I know I am. And the suggestion is that doesn't need to stop happening because it's not really happening. There isn't anything needed for that to stop happening. It's an illusory experience. And this is what's longed for. And it doesn't have a particular feeling or state or understanding or anything to it. It is everything. It is already. It can't be achieved because it is already. It can only be seemingly lost.
Right. So if I said that we're actually, that at least some of the time all of us are already having the experience you described, would that be true?
I wouldn't say it like that, but this is absolutely obvious. Already known.
Right.
Absolutely. Not known, that's the wrong word, but anyway, it's already known. Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you. I think that helps a lot.
Thanks, James.
But in regards to the thing about rejection, so I feel like I need everyone to like me or I'm going to feel terrible, and I've got to try and behave a particular way when I meet people so that they will give me a favorable reaction.
Yeah.
But you're saying rejection could still arise without a sense of self. But there's no one with that neurotic investment in trying to present a front to sort of defend against it.
We're not talking about therapy here. Doesn't really have any intention to help. It's not about what does or doesn't arise when there isn't any me. What we're pointing at is that there isn't any me. There isn't any need to bring wholeness into this, because this is already whole. It can't be brought about, but there can be the experience that it's lost. And that experience that it's lost arises out of knowing what this is. Nobody does that. This isn't something that somebody does and then could decide not to do. Just something that seemingly happens for no reason at all. There's no why to it. And so you don't know, and nobody knows what it's like when there's no one.
So even to say that there's things that might no longer happen, or things, or a lot of it would, that the me would like to stop happening, would carry on the same. Nobody knows when there's an apparent change in the character of the person. That's, well, it's not a person left, but
well, there can be a recognition of change. Things change. I talked to Ali before about how neuroticism seems to soften up.
But there's just no one left feeling that that was a gain, or that needed to happen.
Right. There's no longer that need to overcome separation. There's no longer the need to know, in that sense of I need to know more to become whole. That stops happening. But the thing, this is I think where it gets a little tricky. That's not happening there.
So what is happening here? Because it feels like there's
nothing. That's just, it's unnameable. It's the unnameable form in form. That's all it is. There is no story. The idea of the story is that something needs to happen for the story to end. There is no story. It doesn't end. It's revealed to never have happened.
And so when I said what's happening here, and you said nothing,
yes,
but there's not a real here then. So there's just nothing happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't matter what you call it. You call it here, call it anything you like. It's what's arising. There never is a story. There never is an explanation for this. There's no need. It doesn't have to be understood or explained. Those are just all sort of add-ons from that experience of separation, that something needs to be known, changed, become. It doesn't.
I'm trying so hard to understand what you're saying, but because...
How do you understand what's happening? What's the need to understand what's happening? The only need is the experience that something is lost. And so to understand what's happening is going to somehow give you protection, or give you information, or an experience, or knowing that will make you feel better. But there's no need for that. There's no need to know what this is. You can't actually know what this is. It's an illusory experience. There's just sitting on the couch. That's all there is.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, William.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Robert.
Hey. So last time, in the end, I said, there's not even this.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you said, and then you agreed. So could you please explain to me what I meant with that?
That's really good. It doesn't mean anything.
Now, that's a little bit short.
Oh, should I go on? Should I do more? I don't know what else to say about it. Actually.
Give you some more.
Give you some more.
Yeah.
Well, as I was just talking to William, this is unknowing or unknowable. There's no need to understand it, or to label it, or identify it.
Mm-hmm. So to call it this all the time, it's kind of objectifying it again.
Yeah.
And to call it wholeness and oneness, these are all answers. Let's put it this way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, they're non-answers.
What do you mean?
Well, they don't give anything. The message is is, as someone said today, very frustrating because it doesn't actually have anything for you in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
and that's basically the whole message, is there's nothing, the whole experience that something needs to happen is an illusion.
Yeah. So bottom line, attracting me is what you call, and which I really recognize, is this in loveness with this message, or with being here, whatever.
Yeah.
Where's that coming from?
It's just this. It's just so it arises.
Mm-hmm.
You could say it's a recognition or a resonance with what's being said. That what I said before, knowing that everybody knows this already, that can sort of hear this, and sort of an inward sort of yes arises, or an openness or something to it. It touches something.
Which is all the story again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Thanks, Jim. I liked it.
Thanks, Robert. So shall we talk to AKM? And that'll be the last one.
Yeah, hi, Jim.
Hi.
My query is, what I understand about your message is that this searching is the seeking itself is the me that you're saying that, is an illusory me, and for Jim Newman, it got dropped off. For others, it might still be there. So my question here is that when the searching gets dropped off, and others have also like queried in similar ways that, is there pain? And then you say that, the pain is there, but it's for nobody.
Yeah.
Similarly, when it has been dropped for Jim Newman, and suppose you came home from your car, you put your car keys and forgot, and you're searching the keys. Those keys, it's an object.
Yeah.
So that searching is still there. So my question is,
no. When the me falls away, there's a psychic knowing that just invades everything. You get certain superpowers. Spiritually, you're laughing already. Yeah. So there's that sort of hunger arises. Anything can arise. It's just not arising for anyone. And for anyone means that it no longer arises in the context of my life of meaning and purpose and right and wrong and good and bad. And what that's like can't be said.
Now, but again, coming to that searching, a little hung up on that. So if you forgot where you kept your car keys and you're searching for those car keys, what is the difference between that searching and that searching that has been dropped off at Jim Newman?
Right.
Are there two?
Well, the difference is there's the searching that's been dropped off of Jim Newman. It hasn't dropped off. It's been revealed never to have happened. But the seeking was seeking for meaning and purpose, was seeking for those big questions. Why am I alive? What is life about? What's the meaning and purpose? What should I do? How do I find what I'm looking for? None of that arises when there's looking for keys. There's just looking for keys.
But you're still looking for keys. You can't find it right now. You're still looking for keys, right?
Yeah, looking for keys seems to, although at home we do have a place for keys, so we don't look for keys very often, but there's still, see that sort of seeking. Absolutely. Just like I say there's no need left, but there's still hunger still arises. And so there's a need or a want for food that arises. So all that goes, but this whole psychic entity that there's something intrinsically wrong with the appearance or something intrinsically missing, and it's up to me to make it better or to find what's been lost, that falls away. That is revealed to have been based on an illusory experience of separation.
Maybe I'll think it over.
Because there's just an experience of something that needs to happen. There's something's wrong or something's missing in the appearance, in the arising. And it's up to me to make that better. That doesn't arise with missing keys. They're just missing keys or seeking keys. But there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with me or the appearance or generally the experience that there's real separation or that it's happening for somebody.
So if a business owner is trying to maybe better his or her business and they're not worried about it, they're not like existentially in a threat or something, can it be said that for them that me is not there then?
There is no me. There are no me's. There just already aren't any me's.
Yeah, my question was that, like, if there is no psychological pain at a given point, and the person is still seeking something or still trying to better something, maybe
this isn't about psychological pain. Psychological pain can still arise without there being a me.
Psychological pain can still arise if the me is not there, you said?
Yes.
Like for
and emotional pain? Definitely. There's still loss. There's still a sense of loss if somebody dies. It's just not for anyone. Just like psychological
pain. What is that event which you say generally that it's a non-happening also, but again, it's just words because something did happen. The non-happening.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
What is that event?
It didn't happen. It doesn't happen. That's the reason I come up with such funny ways to talk about it. Because what you're saying is, as time goes on, something could happen to make this whatever shift you're longing for. That never happens. There is an illusory experience that something will happen in the future that will make this whole. And that experience drops away. That need for something to happen. And that's not a happening. It's an unhappening, and it's no how to it. See, the whole thing is the experience
so how does
that this is becoming. This isn't becoming. But it already isn't becoming. It only becomes unbecoming.
Theoretically, I understand that. But my question here is that before a certain date, you were thinking more or less what...
No. But that's this.
Like all the people here...
No. That's this. That date that you're talking, for the individual, what you're saying makes sense. That there was a story of Jim that in the past really happened, and then there was this realization of dropping away, and now Jim gives talks about what happened.
Right.
Yeah. Never happened.
Something happened there.
No, nothing ever happens. There isn't anywhere else other than this. And this isn't becoming this, it is already this. This isn't becoming whole, it is already whole. This isn't becoming no me, it is already no me. There's the experience there that this, what's the difference? There, time's real. It's really happening. And so something really needs to happen for this to become what you think you want or what's longed for. It never happens.
But before a certain date, Jim Newman also thought like that.
But that date that you're talking about is this.
Okay, I'll think about it.
Yeah, think about it. You can't think about it, by the way, just so you know. It's completely illogical. It's hopeless. But go think about it and come back in the afternoon and we'll have another chat.
Sure.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think we're done. I think that's it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for showing up. And maybe see you in the afternoon or evening. Bye. Love you. Love you all very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim.
Bye.
Bye. Good to see you all. Bye.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.